something wrong, assuming that was the case, isn't there room to forgive one another? In terms of the realm of custom and tradition, as a people, only, as far as my memory can serve me, only somebody who is suspected to have bewitched the deceased is unwanted at the funeral. Is that what you are saying in this matter?
Oh, there's an issue of poisoning that Rafael Nakachinda raised to the South African media, which he repeated even to our Zambian media here when he came back.
Well, again, some of these issues, I think, are issues that will have to be examined, maybe using certain lenses. For now, what I would say is that the law is very clear. He who alleges must prove. And that it is quite scandalous and image damaging to your own country, contrary to the principles of patriotism as espoused through Article 8 of the National Constitution, to allege that someone has been poisoned by a government. Now, let me also put this very clear, that the government of the Republic of Zambia made more than one offers to the former president to take him for medical attention, and that they were turned down.
More than one offer?
More than one.
Okay.
And that on this travel, government was not involved. On the choice of the medical facility he went to, government was not involved. At the instance and occasion of the Permanent Secretary for the Ministry of Information and Media, intimating to the nation that he was aware that former president was not too well, it elicited or yielded violent reactions from the leadership of the Patriotic Front, including suing Mr. Thabo Kawana to the tune of, I think, 6 million. 6 million, if not billion. Kwacha, saying that what he was saying was false. Now, we are even thinking that had he agreed to be taken for medical attention through a government facility, and you have a Rafael Nakachinda there, and his like minds, what would they have said? And like we've indicated elsewhere, it is extremely unfortunate that such statements should actually arise from somebody who the international media may hold to be a reliable source of credible information, and think that what he may have said could be something with some iota of truth. Yet what are the ramifications? That is now endangering the relationship between Zambians who want to seek medical attention in South African facilities, that they might think that, no, we are no longer going to attend to Zambians. You accused our facilities of facilitating the poisoning of one of your citizens. So some of these statements that were made, whether one says they were made emotionally or for political expedience, but I think that there should come a time when you make statements that you calculate their full implications to yourself as a person and to the nation, because the duty of a government is to ensure that a country, regardless of the circumstances it finds itself, continues to carry on as a going concern. And I would like to appeal to you and through you to the citizens that President HH is the only elected president of Zambia who is the chief representative of all of us as citizens, and that his office carries a paraphernalia or a diversity of roles to be played, and that you cannot just easily say you won't play this role. I think we'll be setting a dangerous precedent for presidents to come in future, because anyone will just say, now, this president, we don't want him to do this. No, how come? No, we told him over such an event and he didn't do. That is recipe for anarchy. A country has to be ordered.
As we wrap up, Honorable Minister, as we wrap up, yesterday the President posted on his Facebook page indicating the meeting he had with the South African Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, and in his statement he made it very clear that government's firm position is that the remains of his CEO must be buried in his homeland in Zambia. But also we heard from the same Minister of International Relations and Cooperation indicating that if there's any disagreement between the family and government, the wishes of the family must prevail. But let's hear also what the Minister of International Relations indicated yesterday when he met President Hakainde Hichilema.
Must be an interesting one. I'm not sure if South Africa has ever done this before, but to ultimately help in the burial of a former president of an African country then, in which the family has decided not to repatriate the body back to Zambia. How exactly does South Africa deal with this from a diplomatic point of view, considering Minister Lamula's visit as well to Lusaka?
And that was precisely the purpose of Minister Lamula's visit to Lusaka, to firstly share the country's condolences on the passing of President Lungu, and also to say that South Africa does acknowledge the importance of a nation burying their former president. However, at this stage, we are bound legally to follow what the family requires, and we would then have to leave it there with the family's obligations or the family's wishes. But this also comes on the back of us having legal obligations to honor the family's wishes as they are resident in South Africa. So that then comes with some attendant rights as well in terms of some various legislations that would apply in these processes. So that is where we stand on the matter. But it should not be seen in any way as us not wishing to respect the Zambian government's wishes or disrespectful to the Zambian nation as well.
Government, and we are supporting what is happening between the family and the Zambian government. That is our hope. But once it goes to the situation where the family has to decide, really, we can't force anyone. So we have been very clear that we can't force anyone.
In the event that there is a disagreement between government and the family, the wishes of the family prevails. There's an example of an Angolan general who died in South Africa, and government wanted that Angolan general to be buried in his homeland, and the family insisted that he should be buried in South Africa. They went to court, and the court ruled that in the absence of clear legislation on this, the wishes of the family must be respected. What's your reaction, especially now, President Hichilema reaffirming that their opposition as government is that the remains of his CEO must be buried in his homeland? But the South African government has also made it clear that if there's a disagreement between the family and government, the wishes of the family must be respected.
Well, I must take this opportunity to thank the South African government for the extraordinary steps they are taking to ensure that they participate in the process that should ultimately lead to a dignified send-off of our former president. I think we have engaged and stretched them by our own actions as citizens, perhaps into a zone to which we owe them a debt of gratitude. And I must also indicate here that South African law is significantly different to our law, because ours is British law, so to speak. It emanates from that jurisdiction. The South African law emanates from the Dutch Roman law. So there are quite significant differences, and also given the background of the diversity of the populace of South Africa as a rainbow country, there are certain provisions that ensure that certain laws give their citizens or persons who are in South Africa certain privileges. So to that extent, therefore, we would not be at variance with what the South African government would be saying in terms of what they can accord a citizen of this country, or indeed any other person. Remember here that the president of Zambia was very categorical. He said, it is our desire, it is our desire that the former President Edgar Lungu's remains be repatriated back to his homeland so that he can be laid to rest in his homeland. Now, already begin to think about this, because we've heard these hair-raising and startling comments coming out of some political quarters, such as I think yesterday, Tonse Alliance spokesperson Sean Tembo saying that the remains of former President Edgar Lungu will be exhumed in South Africa and repatriated to Zambia on 28th August 2026, after a new president has been sworn in. Well, we think that beyond those statements sounding rather unfortunate, because we as a people should not reach those extents, and we should not take the electorates for granted. There is something fundamentally important to pick out of such a statement, that this is a position which, if it is given its fruition, that the former president is buried in a foreign land, there will be hovering on top of this country a floating obligation yet to be fulfilled, that those remains should one day be brought to this country.
In the interest of time,
why should we subject ourselves and as a country to such kind of trauma?
In the interest of time, will government, if the funeral burial proceeds on Wednesday, will government send a representative to South Africa?
Well, I want to say this, that for now, as government, the doors of dialogue, the doors of consultation and engagement,
I understand that's still
with
open,
the family,
Minister, but
are still open,
yes.
And therefore, we have not reached to a stage where I must say government will send.
In an event that the burial proceeds on Wednesday, will government send a representative?
I think that the fair answer is to say that we have not reached to that extent. Politicians, I don't like to sound more like a politician, would say we'll cross the bridge when we reach there. But be mindful also that the family has, through Makebi Zulu, told us all that they are arranging a private ceremony. So we are yet to understand what constitutes a private ceremony.
As we wrap up, Honorable Minister, there was a meeting, during the course of towards the end of last week with different organizations, and a consortium has been established that against Bill 7. It's just fair that you comment on that. Many stakeholders have indicated that they are not for the idea of Bill 7 proceeding.
Well, thank you very much. I think that the Oasis Forum today did hold a press briefing at which they launched what is called a coalition against Bill 7. And it is important for me to indicate that government has taken note of that press release and the contents therein. And that what the Oasis Forum has said, by and large, has already been ventilated upon by some of the organizations that were represented there at that particular media or press briefing this morning. So, as government, our position is the following. We have indicated time and again that these are proposed amendments to the Constitution, leading and culminating into Bill 7. And a bill, as by definition it is not yet an act. It is a proposal before the House, meaning that if it doesn't go through, then it falls out. If it goes through, it becomes an act of parliament. The doors of government remain wide open for consultations and dialogue over the proposed constitutional amendments. We invite citizens and institutions alike, just like the consortium under the Oasis Forum, that we talk to each other and not